Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is week 3 of PRMD's recap, sponsored by our wonderful sponsors over at All Around Extreme Handyman Services, owned and operated by Cedric Drake Hawkins. This is week 3. We saw some good football this week. If y'all were paying attention, we got to see a lot of good games. Um, we're going to go through a little brief recap and tell a little bit about what we saw this week. I was impressed with a lot of teams that I saw. Um, we saw some good football, some surprises, a few things that we're going to go over, but I definitely wanted to tell you all about it. So let's start out the gate. Since the Ville, y'all see me repping my Ville shirt, but since the Ville didn't have a game, we had a bye week this week. After week 1 lost to Coco, but we get to bounce back this week, playing West Orange, and so I'm excited about that. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm repping the Ville, showing off my Ville merch. Shout out to Coach Holmes and the staff over there, as well as the players. All right. So Baker County and Palm Bay. Palm Bay went up to Baker County. Palm Bay has had a difficult start to the season. Much to my surprise, I really thought that this year they were going to do better. But they're still getting it. They're still figuring it out, and then I think it's a long season, so we got a lot of time invested. Got a lot of time to turn that around, and what they are now does not have to tell the end of the story for them. So they went up to Baker County and they lost 35-7, unfortunately, but nevertheless. I believe in Palm Bay and what they're putting down over there and the coaches. So I believe they're going to get that back on track eventually. I'm still excited about the possibilities of what I believe they could be. Space Coast. I know y'all heard me speak highly of Space Coast, and I'm still speaking highly of Space Coast. Space Coast played on Thursday night last week. They played St. Edwards in the Independent League and they lost 18-13. I think Space Coast's problem is just youth. Like they're young as a team. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but they just got a lot of extremely young guys. And when you have a lot of young guys, I believe that sometimes makes you have to go through the growing pains, and people just got to give time and just really grow up on the job. And that's what's happening over there. So they just didn't put those little things together. But I still got high hopes in Space Coast. I got high hopes for Coach Owens, Coach Sandy, all the guys over there at Space Coast. Salute the Space Coast as a team. They didn't get the dub, but they lost 18-13, and they still somehow showed some bright spots in the middle of a dark day. So Bayside, also a part of the Independent League, lost to Deltona. They lost 49-13 in the week 3. Bayside took a lot of losses. They lost a lot of kids over the course of the summer as they went independent, and that's just an unfortunate turn of events for them. I don't think it's their fault. I do believe that it's difficult when you have a school the size of Bayside to go from being a part of a classification in the FHSAA to falling to being independent. And so they're just going to have to find a way to figure that out, and it's going to be okay, but it might actually take a while. um astronaut Astronaut won 28-0. Astronaut has been more impressive than I've given them credit for. Sometimes I believe I lean too much into my fanmanship of Titusville, and I don't always give Titusville the credit or coverage that I do. believe that they deserve. But I will say I'm willing to understand that that is my fault. So I'm gonna be honest, they are impressing me from week to week. I like what they're putting down over there. Shout out to Coach Halleck. Shout out to Coach Dees. Those guys. I don't know a lot of the coaches over there, but I do know Bailey Dees, Coach Dees, and I haven't had a chance to meet Coach Halleck, but I would like to. And so shout out to them, man. Shout out to them putting it together. They've been impressing me as the season has going on, and I don't believe that they're going to be the easy dub that people have believed that they would be historically. Um, OCP and Holy Trinity. They played on Friday. OCP won 42-14. Uh, for me, that was kind of a surprise just because historically, OCP has been a basketball school historically. So I was kind of shocked that they beat Holy Trinity with as many pieces as they have over at Holy Trinity. But I like Coach Hurley Brown to put it back together. I like them to get it together. I like for them to turn it around. I know that right now they have they're still trying to figure out a few things. They had a few losses early in the season, but I believe they're going to put it together as the course of the season will go on. Cocoa Beach got a 2-point W this week. Cocoa Beach people, hey, excuse me. I don't know if y'all paying attention or y'all not paying attention or you don't care to pay attention. But whatever you're doing, I believe you need to be giving Cocoa Beach a good look because for where they are, for the league that they're, the division that they're playing in, I think they're going to make a little noise with the schedule that they have. I think they'll do well as it pertains to their schedule. Um, Seminole and Heritage. Seminole and Heritage. I, I think that Heritage. This was a good game for Heritage. I've told people that Heritage was going to have to play major football. They were going to have to over the course of the next month. Who they are as a team is going to be proven. While I'm here, I want to say that Coach Benson will be on this week. We'll be doing an interview with Coach Benson as they get ready to play Egali, which will be what many in spaces have coined as the championship of the South. So it's the South championship between Egali and Heritage, and I would like to see. Seminole didn't play a week one game, so a lot of film and potential film was left out just because they didn't have a game that week because of transportation issues for their opponent. As a result, they ended up playing Seminole had a lot of miscues early in the game. As a result, they ended up losing 34-14. There was a time where it was 23 to 14. I think it was 23 to 14 late in the third quarter, and then the game just kind of got away from them. I don't believe that that particular game defines who Heritage is or who Heritage will be, but I would like to see how they bounce back because I believe wholeheartedly that if they don't bounce, like if they let that loss linger too long, they may potentially get beat going into Egali because Egali is a good team. I think when we talk about, and we'll talk about this more on the preview show. I think when you begin to look at it, like there's certain areas where Heritage and Egali are tied or it's balanced, and then there's certain areas where Egali weighs a little bit heavier than Heritage in some areas where Heritage weighs a little bit higher than Egali. So I think that'll be a good game, but that'll be something that we talk about more on the preview show. But however, I was surprised that Seminole was able to beat them in such a convincing fashion, but a lot of it was special teams miscues. They had a lot of special teams miscues. I don't know. I don't think there's any particular person that we put that blame on. However, it was disappointing to see, but I still got faith in Heritage. Heritage, it has a tough few weeks coming up, and I think they round off the month with playing Coco. They play Coco in a few weeks, and I said publicly that I believe that Heritage would give Coco the best game in the county as it pertains to in-county teams. I'm hoping that they don't disappoint me. Vieira, they played Rockledge this week, but last week they played Satellite, and they were able to come up with the victory, 33-0. They started out a little slow as it pertains to what they were doing offensively, but I think they got that triple option down pat now, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a real good week. I talked to Coach Gipscomb earlier today, and he is excited to get to it with his guys and make sure that they're prepped for Vieira this week. But Vieira, I believe, is hot right now, and if big if Rockledge somehow gets Vieira's timing wrong, I believe that they could potentially lose that game. But Vieira has been better, losing so much as they lost. Because when they lost Chase Camar, they lost Pillow, they lost a lot. But I'm liking to see how they're bouncing back from that. Merritt Island and Melbourne, Melbourne, I believe, gave Merritt Island all they could handle, but it just wasn't enough. Merritt Island and Coach Murray is really putting something together. I like what they're doing over there at Merritt Island, and I'm believing that it'll be between Merritt Island, Egali, and Titusville for that district. I like to believe that Titusville could beat Merritt Island, but I don't think you can ever underestimate what Merritt Island is doing as a team. MCC beat up on Trinity Catholic in a major way. Uh, yeah, they had touchdowns from Brogan. They had a touchdown from Noah Flores. Coach Tillman is making sure that his guys are prepared. I'm actually excited to see what they become as the course of the season goes. They have a big matchup coming up in a few weeks. They're going to play not Edgewater, excuse me, First Academy that beat Edgewater on Friday. First Academy. Many were shocked, including myself. I was shocked that TFA was able to pull that game off on Friday. Earlier, I talked about Coach Gipscomb, and what this was the redemption game. It was the redemption game. And last year they played for the district, and this year Ugali and Rockledge are in different districts. And I was kind of shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was kind of shocked at Rockledge. I don't know where it went wrong. But it got bad, and it got bad fast. And I kind of hate that there's a lot of people who are getting on Coach Gipscomb. They got to give it. I wish that Rockledge fans would give it time. I really wholeheartedly wish that they would give it time, because the reality is that whatever you will be as a team, whatever you will become as a team, I don't think the sum total of who they are as a team has been reached yet. And so I think that they just gotta be okay with the things that are not okay. So, like, you lost 40-0 on Friday. Egali played a perfect game. I think they had They had a interception return by Jay Latson. They had a fumble recovery by Big B, and he scored a touchdown. I think Welch scored a couple touchdowns. And so they played great in every facet of the game. Egali definitely deserves kudos. And I think that sometimes in my efforts to defend Tyrone, I minimize the value of what other teams have done. But I think that Egali really played a great game as it pertains to team football. I definitely want to see where they go this season. I don't want to make them district champs already, but I definitely believe that they are a favorite to be the district champs in that district. And I still believe that Rockledge has a lot of potential. Like a lot of people, personally, in my personal estimations of the situation, I think that there's a lot of people who are doubting Tyrone and just not understanding that it's a process. And much like Florida State, they lost a lot of guys. And when you lose a lot of contributors, it's you have to grow up fast. And a lot of times we got to understand that the growing pains means you got to lose some games sometimes. And I wish they could have scored. I know the Coach Gibson's wish they could have scored, but sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. And so I hope to see them bounce back this week. I hope to see them get the dub against Vieira, but I'll be doing a more detailed observation of, as I said in Spaces, I will be doing a more detailed observation of Rockledge as the season goes on. I wanted to give them a month, the first month of the season, to actually see what they can be and what they can't be. I think that they have a lot of young guys that are growing up on the job, and they just have to keep going. And I think they will keep going as it as the season goes on. This is a perfect time for us to, if you have any handyman needs, if you have any needs for a handyman, I know the guy. I know the guy that you need. All around handyman, all around extreme handyman services, owned and operated by Cedric Drake Hawkins, the dad of Cedric and Samadre Hawkins. You can contact him at 321 501-0379. That's 321-501-0379. All around extreme handyman services. If you have any home needs, any work around the house, it's done. He can do it. Tell him I sent you, and you may get a PRMD discount. You never know, but you gotta ask. You know what I'm saying? So please make sure that you do the due diligence and take opportunity to patronize that business. Last game of the week was Coco. Everybody knows that Coco has been good. Historically, Coco has been good. Coco is back-to-back state champions. They played up against Mainland, who has made two trips to state in the last 2 years, and they most recently they won state. First year they didn't win. Second year they did win. Coach Rowland ended up leaving to go to Georgia, where he's now the head coach of Camden County, and his cousin is currently the new coach at Daytona Mainland. And they lost a few guys as it happens. They lost a few guys over the summer to transfers to different area schools. However, they played Coco on Friday, still returning a few guys, Christian Hudson being one of those guys one of those guys that I'm high on. I think Christian Hudson is a dog. I think he's going to do great at the next level. I think he's going to be good for UCF, and he definitely played well on Friday. But there's a young man by the name of Javen Boggs, and Javen Boggs, it was the Mr. Florida last year. He won Mr. Florida, but he is on a tangent this year. In the first two games of the season, he has 6 touchdowns. Last year, he accumulated 23 touchdowns, so he's well on pace for that same type of production this year. They did have a minor. It was about 35 to 0 when they had a little fiasco at the game, some type of police interruption that they had to take a break for a little while, but Coco ended up winning 51 to 0. And they have a really talented group of young guys that they are playing with. And Troy Silberzon, JoJo Scott. They have a lot of young guys that are coming up that are going to be good. So those are just a few guys, just to name a few. I like to see what they do this week. I think this week is a major matchup, a nationally ranked opponent in IMG, and we'll be able to see how they fare. Of course, we're going to do a preview show in which we're going to talk a little bit more about what it is and what our expectations are for that game and what it is we believe is going to happen. So shout out to Cocoa High School, Coach Snyder, on getting the big dub, Coach Franco, Coach Kamika, Coach Spence, the whole staff over there at Cocoa High. I think they're going to do well this week. I think they'll fare well against IMG. Of course, we know IMG is a nationally ranked powerhouse high school over in the Bradenton area, and so we'll get to see. I hope that the fans don't get caught up in the fanfare of it all, and they try to say, "Oh well, we don't know if Coco is this, and we don't know if Coco is that." I don't think this game defines their season in any way. I think, if anything, this game is going to make them better as a team. I think that this game is going to really prepare them for another state run, deep playoff run. They also have a few games. Let me look up the rest of Coco's schedule real quick, because they does have a lot of hard games left on the schedule, but I think they are more than prepared for it. So they'll play IMG this week, and then next Friday they'll play Heritage before they go on a very nice little 3-game skid with Venice, Norland, Apopka, and then they'll go into district play with the Villages Charter and Astronaut, and then they'll finish off the season versus Coach Gipscomb and the Raiders. So I definitely think that this game with IMG, if it does nothing, it's going to prepare them for the rest of this season and the next 4 weeks coming up in their season. I want to like I said earlier, Coach Benson. We'll have an interview with Coach Benson coming up this week. That should air on Thursday night. We're going to air that interview as they get prepared for their game with Egali on Friday, and also we'll be doing some score predictions and a little recap of some score predictions, a little bit of both with Eddie Mays as well. Please make sure that you're following PRMD on every platform. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, formerly Twitter, but now X. Please follow us. We have spaces on Monday, Wednesdays, and or Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Thursday being our preview night, and Fridays being our call outs, where we give the opportunity to people to call out someone that they feel like needs to be called out. It's regardless, and we do a recap spaces every Friday night after all of the games, where fans can come and talk all of the trash that they want to talk about their teams and brag on their teams, and or have to listen to some elite lies that they have told about their team. So please make sure that you're following us on all platforms so that you can keep up with what we're doing and what we're building over here. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, All Around Extreme Handyman Services, owned and operated by Cedric Drake Hawkins. Thank y'all. Have a